It doesn't matter my opinion. I don't know everything. As long as I know what their goals are and I have the right people and subject matter experts around me, it does make a difference.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study Series. On today's episode, we have Hannah Johannsen, who is the CEO and co-founder of Synaptech Services, a company focused on AI-driven solutions in cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance. And under her leadership, Synaptech has become a key player in integrating artificial intelligence into business strategies, ensuring future readiness for organizations through tailored advisory services and advanced security protocols. With a strong background in AI governance and ethical AI integration, Hannah leads a team of experts dedicated to empowering businesses with innovative, secure solutions, which is why we're excited to have her on the show. Hannah, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
I'm particularly excited to get into some of the work that you're doing with Synaptech. But before we get too far into it, Hannah, let's start with maybe a quick little background, couple of minutes on who you are, where you came from, and how you found yourself founding Synaptech Services.
Well, it's been an interesting career for myself. I started in finance, spent 12 years there, branched out and really started to kind of delve into different areas. So started my first company as a sales and marketing consulting firm, really taking the financial approach to how to balance your budget, save some money, reinvest that in the growth of your company. In doing so, I had opportunities to work with great clients and great people, vendors and partners. From there, I was recruited to start doing a national sales manager position for a merchant processing company. Quite frankly, I get bored quickly if things are not challenging. And so I found myself just kind of looking for a new challenge and in blind faith started to apply for jobs that maybe I didn't have the qualification for, but sounded kind of cool. And a wonderful organization by the name of Yash Technologies, which is a international IT consulting firm, recognized that decisions were no longer being made by CIOs and the technology group. It was starting to have that trend change back in 2015 when those decisions were being made by CEOs and COOs. The impact of technology in the operations started to transition. And the regional VP recognized what I've done and saw value and figured, well, I can always teach you technology. I can't teach people how to talk to C-suite executives. And that's something I think you'll be good at. So cut my teeth there, really enjoyed it, was recruited away to work for an EMR platform, an electronic medical record system, focused on building out their sales and marketing strategy, fundamentals, things of that nature. Again, realized that doing the same thing over and over, I fixed the problem. And so I went to work for their sister company, Impact Group. And they are a standard MSP and IT consulting firm. Helped them restructure their branding, their sales process, execution. And from there, was given the opportunity to work with a couple of very large clients and brought in my now business partner, who has been my BFF for 25 years. And we just recognized that there was a better, easier way to bring value to businesses. And I was tired of being boxed in and wanted to find ways to actually help businesses in any corner. And through my network and wonderful resources and relationships, we've been able to provide wonderful outcomes and services to a few different organizations. So I think that's probably a good overview of what I call unique patchwork of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's really cool. I can relate so much to that journey in that every step of the way it seems like there were these skills that you were able to acquire that kind of helped serve the next step of each of those things. It's really cool to hear that you were able to join forces with somebody who is on the same mission as you and up to the same stuff as you and really kind of driving towards something with purpose and meaning. And so I wonder, Hannah, how some of those kind of transferable skills have helped shape your current role now with Synaptech.
Well, I personally do consulting for some of our clients, right? So my business partner, Bill, is what I like to call the serial entrepreneur. I think throughout his tenure, he has probably owned no less than 15 different businesses. He currently and actively owns five, as well as being a coach for his son's football team, basketball team, and also as a full-time loan officer. Yeah, he sets the bar a little high, which is great. But it's always been our competitive nature that created such a tight relationship between us. We push each other, we teach each other. And, I always kind of joke that the things that I teach and consult and help our clients with, sometimes I know what to do, but I don't have time to do it myself. And so it definitely has been very valuable. When you think of any corner of business, there's a lot of different aspects, right? There's defining your target market. It's how are you going to secure your future? How are you going to hire? What's your cost benefit analysis? Go to market strategies, best practices on how you're going to execute, manage from front end, top of funnel, all the way through ongoing, maintaining management. How do you work with colorful people and different personalities? So I think that my career has given me a lot of those tools. I also think just growing up with five kids in a household, all within like 7 years, 79 to 86. Yeah, 7 years. Has also served me real well because I learned how to hold my own, if I could say that in the most polite way possible, because I think as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to navigate and hold your own.
Yeah, yeah, the whole world of business by its very nature is a competition, right?
Yes, it
Initially you're
is.
vying for attention of people. Once you've had their attention, you're trying to convince them that you're the best possible solution for the problem that they have, and there are other people trying to do the exact same thing. And so, yeah, that very nature of the competitiveness of being in that ecosystem is uh I guess it can be dovetailed into some of these other experiences that you've had in life, with growing up with many siblings, or just the day-to-day stuff that kind of helps lead into that. So I'm really curious then how that's kind of lended to your approach to kind of set you apart or make you different from who's out there. What makes your approach unique?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's getting back to old school ethics.
Hmm.
It's about a handshake. We have lost the human touch and the human nature, right? I always say that your competitors can be competitors or they can be partners.
Hmm.
I can't be the best at everything. I can't be a subject matter expert in all of the corners. I have to align and rely on people who would maybe at first glance look like a competitor. And I think the thing that sets us apart and why people seek us out is, those relationships and really knowing that I always say it's the give a shits. I only work with partners and resources and people that give a shit. I care about the organization, their goals. But when you give a shit, that means that you also say the hard things like, hey, man, this is not a good decision. Or you are investing in the bad things. Or this is going to be really hard. So lace up and be ready for a long run. But when you get on the other side of the mountain, it's worth it. So it really just comes down to taking that servant's attitude and really having a give a shit about whatever it is. It doesn't matter my opinion. I don't know everything. As long as I know what their goals are and I have the right people and subject matter experts around me, it does make a difference.
Yeah, I get a sense that there's this resourcefulness that has helped kind of fuel your growth in that, whenever you're kind of met with that roadblock or that challenge or that hurdle or whatever it is, it's kind of in the way of progress, that you are very much capable of finding what you need to overcome that thing and lead you towards that solution. And that's such a necessary part of playing the game of entrepreneurialism, and definitely lends to uh a sense of purpose in the growth that you're up to, right? The thing that you're kind of aiming at, which is really cool to see. So when it comes to, I kind of want to zoom in a little bit. So when it comes to the actual practical application, right? We're up in the clouds here with a lot of kind of high level ideas. What specific things are you kind of deploying in your actual marketing strategy in terms of maybe, that top of funnel discovery stuff, how you're kind of nurturing in the middle, and what helps you drive it home when you kind of get people to the bottom of that funnel? Like, what does that whole customer experience map look like for you?
Well, and I think it always starts with the same things, right? It's always process. If you can become uh, almost like it's a reflex, right?
Mm.
If it's repeatable, I always look for opportunities to run things in parallel, or how can I accomplish eight things with the one thing I'm doing? And the more repeatable something becomes, the more of a reflex it becomes, the easier it is to ensure measurement, quality, and execution, right? So it's a lot of documentation. It's having a discovery in the way that you coordinate and have your first initial interaction with an individual. Do your freaking homework, man. Like, seriously, how lazy, right? Look up their name. How much information is at our fingertips every single day? Before you have that meeting, you spend time looking at the company. You look at the organizational chart and the information that's available. You dig into who that individual is, and you understand what their role is. You understand what matters to them. And quite frankly, if what their company does and who that person is not the right fit for your company, you probably know somebody who's a better fit, and you should probably just give them an introduction. Oh my gosh, what a novel idea, right? It's reciprocity, it's referral, it's identifying things before you waste your time and energy. Once you go through that process, you actually do have a qualified individual within your ideal client profile. Now you know that you're having a meaningful conversation. If you follow a discovery, a qualification questionnaire, a scoping conversation, and it's not like, hey, can you please tell me what this is? And how many endpoints do you have in your environment? What are your specific? No, it's a conversation. And you may not check all the boxes every time. But what you are going to have is a really good conversation and understanding, gathering the things that are most important. And if there's things that are missing, they're missing. You then bring it back to your solutions team. Through that conversation, you should know who and where and what individuals and resources you need to have conversations with. Then you figure out if there's still gaps in understanding. You need to gather a little bit more information before they're ready to start talking about solutions or presentations. Either there's an additional meeting to gather that information, or there's enough there, you know exactly what is going to be the right approach. You put together your proposal, your statement of work. You build a presentation off of your statement of work. That way, when you go through the presentation with the client and the right decision makers, you're able to clarify, identify, remove, redline in that conversation. So as soon as you're done with that presentation, you already have your proposal ready. You know what you need to update, change, and you get it out for execution. Moving into the process of delivery and execution, you have to be involved. It doesn't matter if you're working with a partner, a vendor, you're doing it yourself. It absolutely, you created a level of credibility. A lot of times you have the hunters, you have the gatherers, you have, all of these different sales roles. There has to be a common thread, because if somebody builds a personal relationship, that's an advantage. It's about people, right? So as long as you keep your eye on that, you're going to be successful. Do your homework, follow a process, make it personal, and take care of people.
It's so clear when you kind of outline all of these steps, but then when you get into it, it gets a little bit messy because we're dealing with other human beings who have things going on in their lives. You kind of alluded to that at the top of the show. I think it was your partner that you were talking about is he's got all these things on the go, and then he's coaching, he's got his kids, he's got this, he's got that. Um, and so kind of navigating that while also being in pursuit of kind of securing a deal or providing a solution to somebody makes it a little bit more challenging. And so I imagine in all of that, you're not isolated in that you may encounter the challenge of scalability, taking the time to research somebody, understand who you're talking to, what they're going through, so that you can speak a language that resonates with them. And then you have to be patient enough to build a relationship with that person and establish with them that trust that you are there to help solve that problem, and the authority that it's going to take for them to be able to trust you to solve that problem. And so that part takes time and effort and resources and all those other things. And so when we kind of analyze or kind of examine what that growth map looks like, what are you doing to kind of address some of these challenges of bottlenecks or friction along the way that kind of make things easy? I get that nothing's perfect, but you guys seem to have figured out a flow, and you've crossed that threshold of a startup, in the first couple of years failing if you don't get it right. So you clearly have established that there is something that really, really works for you. So what are the challenges that you faced along the way? And then what did you do to kind of overcome that to um, make it a little bit more systemized?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, people are people, right? And you're always going to, it's trial and error. I don't care what size your business is, right? And you're always going to deal with bottlenecks. You're always going to deal, you can plan, you can follow a process, you can have everything figured out, but you're still going to deal with human error and the human aspect of business, right? And I think through trial and error, finding the right partners, finding the right resources, finding people that I can trust, you continue to carry that continuity of communication. And so when people are involved, it doesn't matter if Bill's not available or I'm not available, whoever is involved in a transaction. When I know that I can trust somebody, I make sure that, I'm in the process of building out a presentation right now in partnership with a couple of my really great resources. Go into your PowerPoint. There's a comment section. You put the comment in there. Hey, please look at this. Now I have a task order of what's happened. We can move fluidly through that. Documenting, sharing information in a simple and easy way. Everybody's emails get so bogged down. It's just making sure that everybody is up to date on things, whether that's using things like HubSpot or whatever your solution of choice is, just having that clear, simplified workflow communication so that we always talk about what happens if I get hit by a bus, or what happens when this person leaves the company, or whatever it may be. You have to keep all of the people around you that you trust throughout the process up to date. You got to take vacations. You have to get sick. I mean, it's just kind of a reality. I mean, there is now and they are building AI robots and using brain organic matter to do that, but probably not what you want, right? So I think just really making sure that there's clear communication, documented information, finding the easiest flow. And the bottlenecks are exactly what it is, right? You have to find the right people. You have to trust them. And they also have to have the right skills. Culture, people, trust. It all comes back to the same thing.
There's this frame that I think that you operate from, and I'm a huge kind of paradigm guy. I really like to kind of figure out how you've boxed up the world and how you interpret it and how you interact with it. And there's two common ones that I see is there are some people who are, and I call these the poppy cutters, right? If any poppy gets too tall, then they're out there trying to cut up everyone's flowers off so that they don't look as insignificant. And I don't think that that's although initially it may seem effective, I don't think that it's a strategy that has any longevity in it. Versus the frame that I see you operating from, which is this collaborative lens, where you look for ways to work with people to create things together, and you kind of compartmentalize that challenge, whatever it is, and separate it from you and the people, right? The team. And now we have a stronger front to take on that challenge. And I think that that has um, potentially lended significantly to your current success, if not, the continuation or future success that you have. And so I would love to, um, as we kind of wrap things up here, look a little bit forward at some of the big goals that are on the horizon. What are you excited about? What are you aiming at? What are some of the maybe key revenue marks that you want to hit in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, I can say first and foremost, one piece that I have to call out about the collaboration, absolutely, you're spot on, by the way, but it's also being humble enough and knowing that it's okay to ask for help and ask questions. Because no matter how collaborative you are, if you feel like it's not okay to ask a question or to ask for help, or that you're going to be shunned for doing so, it doesn't work. Like people have to they have to feel safe and encouraged and know that it's okay and it's
Mhm.
encouraged to ask for help. So that's a really important component. And with some of the things we have on the horizon right now, I mean, they are a little big to chew, it feels like.
Okay.
But we are in the process of really finding those right partners, the right butts to put in the right seats. And as those start to come together, I think that it's very reasonable to accomplish 50 to 100 million in the next 5 years. Um, if those other very big things that are tough to chew and swallow right now don't happen, like I'm not driven by money. I did that for a very long period in my career. And I think the tangible goal that I have is how many businesses can I help?
Mm.
How much transformation can I drive? And I think the better question to be answering is that, right? So if I can have 150 businesses that I helped grow, that I helped save money, that I helped get to market, that we were able to make a difference in the lives of those companies, what they do, their employees, that's what I care about. And it's a 150 number, and I don't know why it's always just sat in my head. But and I can get to 150 businesses that I've helped either start, grow, transform, change, sell. Doesn't really matter. That would really be the goal.
Yeah, there's this balancing act I think that we are confronted with every time we talk about growth, goals, money, and all the other things. And I'm very present to, um, hey, I don't do this for money. I do this because I want to help people. But I'm also very cautious about how that sounds to the universe. If I'm telling the universe that I'm not doing it for money, then to some degree, the money is not going to follow the action. And I'm so much kind of present to this duality that exists in the world. And I'll use this as an example. Musicians who say that they only make music for themselves. Well, then I'm going to challenge you to keep that music to yourself then and don't share it on Facebook
Right.
and Instagram and all these, because that's not the point of what you're doing, right? And so I
Right.
love how laser focused you are on, yeah, actually the money is a byproduct of me doing a really good job. So I'm not focused on that. I know that it's an inevitable part of this. So what I'm really truly focused on is I have this number of businesses or people or whatever, individuals that I want to serve. And if I can do that in my lifetime, I will have felt like I accomplished something significant. And I love that that's a part of your mantra. You're so people focused, and um, that kind of shines a bit of a light on there's new technologies that are coming out now, AI and voice and video and generative stuff. And I don't know where you are at on either side of this. I will say for myself, I think that people who use the tool are going to advance with it, and people who don't use the tools are going to get left behind. And there's room for it. However, we still need to figure out what that peaceful, happy balance is between leveraging technology and still keeping your business human. So, final thoughts, Hannah. Um, where are you at with that whole umbrella of things, AI, technology, automations, and the like? How does that resonate with you?
Well, and it's really funny because as you were talking about this focal point of, the byproduct of revenue, with being able to have a tangible goal, the reality is that businesses don't exist and we have to be profitable. If we're not profitable, I'm not ever going to be able to hit that goal of helping businesses, right? So no matter what, you always have to be pragmatic about what you're doing, how you're doing it. And if it's not profitable, you don't get to do it
Hmm.
unless you're just going to, I don't know, figure out a way to magically grow money on a tree, or your bills just are, you're independently wealthy. But I promise, even if you're independently wealthy, that money's going to be gone. Okay. And it's the same thing with AI. I think that there is a responsible human way. If you are not automating your processes, the pace of life, the pace of the world is moving so furiously that we actually, even though we've overpopulated the globe, for what we consume, there's not enough people to manage it. And if you are going to be profitable, if you're going to be successful and you're not leveraging automation or, and I don't like the term AI because it's really not AI, it's large language models.
Mm,
It's figuring out a faster, easier, better, and more efficient way to do business. When I talk about I do one thing and I try to accomplish eight, how do I replicate that? How do I get the most value? That's automation in my mind.
mm,
It's the same way with business. If you can replicate anything or minimize the amount of time it takes to do something, you are actually reducing your labor costs by keeping governance, understanding the protections, and the open threat vectors that are going to continue to grow.
mm.
Battling those things is a challenge. If you're not using it to battle those threat vectors, bad things will happen. I mean, it's inevitable, right? And if you're not leveraging things in a way that will help you sustain, you're gonna fall, right? Doing it in a responsible manner, understanding that training your team, communicating what you're doing, why you're doing it, how their jobs are going to change, how to leverage these technologies in a way. We are so far off from people having such a comfort and confidence within business to deal with how many times do you hate those stupid chatbots or even the automated routing when you're sitting on hold and it doesn't matter, right? You have to have a human checkpoint. You have to have a human touch. And as long as you encourage that change management, you deploy these things in a responsible manner, you are keeping your eyes on any of the threat vectors or vulnerabilities that are going to be created by what you're doing. You're going to be minimizing a lot of the risk while advancing your business. It's just a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think there's a balance that we can strike, and I think that so long as we keep that as the target, we'll be able to evolve the technology into a place where we can exist symbiotically, I think.
Yes.
I love that.
Coexist.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
So,
I agree.
Hannah, you've been very generous with your time and your wisdom, and I'm very grateful for that. To wrap things up here, I'd love to just get from you, if you could, if there's somebody out there who's kind of up to it, working on some stuff, trying to build a business, or facing some challenges and needs to overcome those, what piece of advice would you offer somebody in that situation?
Well, if you give a shit, you're going to do better. Because if you're not passionate about what you're doing, there's no reason to do it. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you don't have a purpose, you don't have, if it truly is money and that's your purpose, then you better make sure it's damn profitable. If you're providing something that, if it's a service or if it's a technology or it's, I don't care, it's a car wash,
Mm.
you better be really excited about cars getting washed, right? Because overcoming is very difficult. 99% of organizations give up within the first 6 months.
Hmm.
Getting through the first year, getting through the first 2 years, you have to have a reason to push through. It's stamina, it's determination, and it all comes back to what's your purpose? Like, do you give a shit about what you're doing? Because if you don't, go and get a job. Don't keep pushing this rock. And also, it's okay to walk away.
Mm.
Because if it's not profitable, if it doesn't make sense, maybe it's not the right time. Stop sinking money into it. Figure out a different way or come back at it with a clean view. So be passionate, know when to walk away. And if you truly are passionate and you're not supposed to walk away, you better have the endurance and the stamina to keep pushing, because when you get to the other side, it's beautiful.
Hmm. You got to go the distance. I'm very present to that. Being in the podcasting world, there's a staggering statistic. There's millions and millions and millions of podcasts started
Oh my
every day,
gosh.
and people think that this is a very saturated market. And I can tell you with absolute confidence and certainty that 80% or more podcasts don't make it past the second episode. So there's really no competition past number 10. And if you just
So
stay,
roughly out of that million, there's only about 9 left.
yeah, yeah, and
There's
we all know which
that.
ones those are, right? So yeah, Hannah, this has been great, man. I'm very grateful for this. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain further, or perhaps work with you, what's the best way to do that?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me through our website. I am somebody who actually, and my business partner's like, we're going to have to change this soon, right? But my personal cell phone number is on our website. But yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, email, our website, I really do. If it's not something I can help you with, I probably know somebody who can. And that's the bottom line, is that I know my limits. I know what I can and can't do and what our organization is. And if it's not a fit, I'm always willing to get you to where you need to be or give you the advice. So that's what we're here for.
Beautiful. Well, we'll make sure to link to all that stuff in the show notes for anybody that's watching or listening. If you want to get in touch with Hannah, that's where you'll find her contact information. And on that note, if you wanted to get in touch with me and my team for your marketing or AI needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and I will see you in the next.